Hello, and welcome to my garage lab. So I'm going to be presenting the titration lab to you. For this series of videos, I'm just going to do one trial of each. I'm going to generate data for all three trials so that you can do the complete set of calculations. But rather than make you sit and watch me titrate for 6 total trials, I'm only going to make you watch me titrate a couple of times. All right, so the first step in this experiment is to prepare your sodium hydroxide solution. So we've got some 1 molar sodium hydroxide, a graduated cylinder, some deionized water, and a jug with which to make our sodium hydroxide in. Now, I don't have any large size beakers here at home, so instead of making this in a beaker, I'm going to make it in this jug here. All right, so our instructions for the lab tell us to use a graduated cylinder to transfer about 100 mils of 1 molar sodium hydroxide into a large beaker. Now, it's okay if it's not exactly 100.00. The point here is that we're going to make an approximate molarity of our sodium hydroxide. Once we have that done, we're going to do something called a standardization. We're going to take that sodium hydroxide, then we're going to take another solution where we're going to know the exact number of moles of something, and we're going to run a titration. All right, so let's make the sodium hydroxide. I only have a 50 ml graduated cylinder available, so what we're going to do is we're just going to fill it twice. Okay. All right. So we're going to pour into our graduated cylinder. All right, I got that right on that meniscus there. Okay. There's 50. Don't have quite 100, but that's okay, because remember, it's at approximately 100. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read my graduated cylinder. Okay, so I have major marks at the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so every 10 mils. And then I have smaller marks every 1 mil, which means I can read this particular graduated cylinder out to the 0.1 milliliter. It's a little hard to read in the open air, so I'm going to put my hand back behind here, get right at that eye level. So there's 45. Looks like I'm almost at 46, but I'm not quite at that line. So I'm going to read that to 5.9. So the volume of my sodium hydroxide, I have 50 mils plus 45.9 mils. All right. So I recorded that down in my lab notebook. I'm going to pour that out. Now it says to add water till we get to a volume of about 500 mils. So I have about 100 mils in there. All right. Now, I don't have markings on here. I only have my graduated cylinder. So if I have about 100 mils, I need about 400 more, which means I got to fill this up 8 times. Okay, so there's 1. I'm not 100% concerned that it's perfect, because again, it's approximate. We're going to standardize it. There's 2. Okay, we're going to do 3. And then 4. And this is the exciting part. Okay. All right, now on to 5. 6. 7. And our last one, number 8. Okay. All right, so now we can cap this. We can cap this. We want to make sure that we don't mix our bottles up. So I'm also going to grab a piece of labeling tape here. I'm gonna put this on my bottle. And I'm going to label this as NaOH. And there is my sodium hydroxide. Okay, now to make sure it's mixed up, I'm going to do a highly technical procedure known as shaking the bottle. All right, now my sodium hydroxide is mixed up. Okay, so that is prepared. Our next step, which I will do in our next video, is going to be weighing out and preparing the oxalic acid. So stay tuned.